Hey everyone, and welcome to another reading vlog. So this is going to be my spoiler-free reading vlog for Babel by R.F. Kuang. Now, if you watched my last reading vlog, then you'll know that I had a bit of a nightmare trying to get hold of this book. I thought I pre-ordered it. I convinced myself that I pre-ordered the special edition from Waterstones, and then I realised on the day after release day that I hadn't pre-ordered it at all. So I tried getting a copy in several Waterstones, but it had sold out in every store that I went into. So I ended up ordering it online, but I finally got a copy and I'm 100 pages into this at the moment. I'm at the end of book 1 or part 1. Really enjoying it so far. Not much has really happened in terms of the plot, but I really like the characters and I really like the atmosphere and the vibes and the general setting. So this takes place in Oxford in 1836. We're following this main character called Robin, who's Chinese, and at the start of the book I think he's around 12 or 13, and he's brought to England by his guardian, Professor Lovell, I think is his name. It might be Lover. I keep getting his name wrong in my mind, but Robin is brought to England by this professor, and when he's 18 he's sent to study at Babel in Oxford, which is essentially the College of Translation. So this is obviously a historical setting, but it's also an alternative history. So there's magic in this world, which is all to do with silverwork and translation. I've not quite got a grasp on the magic system yet, but it is really interesting, and essentially Robin and his classmates are going to be studying language and linguistics, and eventually I think they're going to be learning how to use this magic. So far I'm really impressed with the writing. I would say that this is R.F. Kuang's best writing so far, obviously just in my opinion, but I found the writing in the Poppy War series a little bit clunky at times, but so far I'm really enjoying this. I did find the first part a little bit slow because it was basically just introducing us to the characters and setting the scene, but I'm really excited to carry on reading. I'm gonna try and take my time with this because it has been quite slow initially, but I'm still absorbed in the world and I'm just, yeah, excited for this book. I'm trying to keep my expectations not low, but at a reasonable level, because I know that this book has had so much hype and I don't want to end up being disappointed. It is getting on for 11 o'clock, but I wanted to do a very quick update because I'm now around a third of the way through Babel and I'm still enjoying it. I should warn you actually that I'm going to say Babel and Babel in this vlog because I keep getting confused. And the thing is that I know that Babel is the British pronunciation and Babel is the American pronunciation, but what's even more confusing is that in the book anyone who attends Babel is called a babbler. So I keep pronouncing it as Babel, even though my gut instinct is to pronounce it Babel, and it's just really confusing. I'm finding that I'm having to really concentrate when I'm reading this because it's very cleverly written and it's not the kind of book that I can read late at night, kind of like what I'm doing now, but it is a book that I'm having to really focus on. And there's also footnotes, which I don't usually like. I usually hate footnotes, but I'm reading them anyway because I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. This is very different to the Poppy War, which is what I was expecting, to be fair, based on the synopsis, but the marketing for this has compared it to the Poppy War, which is obviously natural because R.F. Kuang also wrote the Poppy War series, but the Poppy War series is a military grimdark fantasy, whereas this is dark academia, so I think there's plenty of people out there who would really enjoy this book, whereas they wouldn't enjoy the Poppy War and vice versa. I actually think I prefer dark academia though, and so I have a really good feeling about this because it's exactly what I expected it to be, and it's given me the vibes that I wanted. So far, I'm happy. I'm still intrigued about the magic system. I've got to a point now where we are learning a little more about the magic system, but I'm still struggling a little bit to grasp it in my mind, and I feel like this is going to be a very, very slow book, but I'm okay with that because I'm still finding the world really interesting. Something that actually made me laugh about the beginning of this book. So there's an author's note right at the start of the book where R.F. Kuang talks about how obviously this is a historical setting, but it's an alternative history. So she's taken certain creative liberties, and she mentions all of the differences that she's included. Like, for example, there's a pub that she really wanted to include in the book that didn't technically open until after when Babel is set. And at the end, she writes something like, oh, and if you notice any other differences, then please feel free to remind yourself that this is a fiction book. And it made me laugh. I have just completely forgot what I was about to say. And see, this is why I shouldn't film vlog updates when I'm half asleep. So I am now around 200 pages into Babel, and I've reached a point now where I'm really hoping that the pace starts to pick up a little bit, because it's still quite slow. However, the timeline is moving quite quickly, and so it's a little bit jarring at times. I don't know whether it's a bad thing because I'm still enjoying other aspects, and I really like the characters as well. I find them quite interesting. Robin is obviously the main character that we're following, and I'm intrigued to see how his character develops throughout the book. I was also wondering whether I prefer this if it were multi-POV, because alongside Robin there's also 3 other students that are studying at Babel that are in his year, and they've all been selected because they're native speakers of certain languages. I don't want to say too much because obviously I want to keep this vlog spoiler free, but basically Babel needs native speakers of certain languages to power these silver bars that make up the magic system of this world. I keep forgetting that this book has another title, so it's also called The Necessity of Violence, or An Arcane History of the Oxford Translators Revolution. So it's easy to assume that there's going to be some kind of student rebellion at some point, and the characters are going through a lot of internal conflict and a lot of complicated feelings. So yeah, there's that mystery, I guess, as well as to what's going to happen, and I really like that there is this tension that's building up. I was gonna say I don't know what direction this book is going in, but I do have a theory on something which I'm obviously not going to talk about, but I'm really interested to see if I'm right, because something has been hinted at just in the way that certain characters have reacted to situations. So yeah, really intrigued to see if I'm right. I'm probably not, but it's fun to come up with theories anyway. Not gonna lie, I am struggling a little bit today. I am very tired, and this is my 3rd attempt at filming this clip because I keep stumbling over my words and I keep getting annoyed at myself. But I am now around halfway through Babel, probably not even halfway through yet actually. I think I'm just under halfway through. But I wanted to talk about my thoughts so far now that I'm approaching the halfway point, and I'm not going to hold this book up for the duration of this clip because I've taken the dust jacket off, so you can't even see really what this book is. Maybe if I hold it like that, you can see. Does that work? No, it doesn't. See, this is what I mean when I say that I'm struggling today. But yes, this book is beautifully written. I feel like the further that I get into it, the more that I'm appreciating how much enthusiasm that R.F. Kuang has for language and translation. I feel like that really comes across in the writing. It's exploring a lot of different themes. For example, one of the main themes that it's exploring is colonialism. Babel is the centre of silverworking, and silverworking is what's enabled Britain to colonise countries around the world. I do feel like the strength of this book is the way that it's exploring these themes. However, what I would really like now is more development of the side characters. So I had a similar issue when I read the Poppy War series, in that I didn't think that the side characters were very well developed. Like, if you were to ask me to describe the Poppy War series, and if you were to ask me to describe the characters in that series, I would be able to tell you a lot about the main character because she was very well developed, but the side characters just felt a little bit flat. And I'm feeling a similar way about Babel, not quite as much, to be fair. When I first started the book, one of the first things that I noticed was that the side characters did feel like they had a little more depth. I feel like they have so much potential and they're not really living up to that potential. I don't know, I just feel like the relationships are quite surface level and quite simple in the way that they've been developed. And I feel like I'm being told that these characters are in a found family rather than actually being shown. It's a difficult one though, because I'm not quite halfway through yet, so that could be something that happens, you know, the further that I get into the book. I think I'm just nervous because obviously it was an issue that I had with the Poppy War series, and I don't want a repeat of that with Babel. I'm not sure if there's going to be romance in this book, because I'm pretty sure I heard R.F. Kuang say in an interview once that she doesn't feel that confident in writing romance, and that's why there's not really any romance in the Poppy War series. But I'm not sure about this book. I feel like I've worked something out, and I can remember thinking this thing near the beginning of the book, and then it just went out of my mind up until this point. But you know what? I actually think I quite like it. I feel like it's believable, so I'm interested to see how that develops and if I'm right. So I'm gonna try and read some more of Babel on my lunch break, because I'm now past the halfway point and I am starting to really love this book. And I don't know whether I've actually said that yet in this vlog. I feel like I have been generally enthusiastic, but also I have had a few criticisms of this book as I've been reading, and I stand by what I've said so far because that's what I was feeling at the time. But I also feel like my feelings have changed a little bit. The further that I get in, the more I'm appreciating that this book is exactly what I want it to be, and at the end of the day I don't mind a slow build-up as long as it pays off, and I think it's starting to pay off. The four main characters are starting to become more memorable, and I think that R.F. Kuang has created a really interesting group of characters, and that's all I'm gonna say. It's interesting because usually I'd say that I prefer historical fantasy, which I guess this is, but also I tend to prefer fictional worlds, and this is our world but in an alternative reality. However, I think it works, and what I really like actually about the magic system is that it's not overwhelming the historical setting. I really love the concept behind the magic system. I'm not sure if I've said that already. I think I said earlier actually that I was struggling to grasp it, but it's actually quite simple. Once you've got your head around it, it does actually make sense and it feels logical, but there's still that element of anything could happen. The magic is quite important in terms of the politics of this world, but it's still quite subtle and it fits naturally into the setting. I'm really struggling to think how to phrase this because I wouldn't want to put anyone off from reading this, considering that I'm loving it so much and I think it has potential to be a 5 stars for me. However, I do think that the amount of hype that this book has had might mean that people are interested in this book when it's completely outside their comfort zone. and I actually think that this book is a lot more niche. I don't mean that in a negative way. I think what I'm trying to say is that if you like dark academia, then this could be the perfect book for you. If you don't like slower paced books or books that are more about the atmosphere, then I don't know if I would recommend this one. I might do another update if I have any other thoughts before I get to the end, because like I said, I am over halfway through now, but part of me just wants to settle down and finish this in one sitting, because I am really struggling to put it down. And if I was to make a prediction now as to what I'm going to rate this, I think it's going to be 5 stars. Okay, so a lot has happened in the last few chapters that I've just read, and I don't know how I'm going to feel about everything by the end of this book, but right now I feel like some of the stuff that's just happened was really shocking and I didn't see it come in, but also it's all felt very sudden and abrupt, and I think I would have liked just a little more build-up. I wouldn't say this book is super predictable, but also there was some stuff that I kind of guessed was going to happen, and I was starting to feel a little bit disappointed, but then some other stuff happened that I hadn't predicted, and I was like, whoa, okay, I feel like we need to slow down a little bit. Obviously, I've not finished the book yet, but it's been a bit of a roller coaster, shall we say. So I am here to wrap up this vlog very quickly because I've just noticed that my camera battery is running low. But last night I finished reading Babel by R.F. Kuang and I'm giving it 5 stars. I mean, I don't think it was perfect, and I think I've spoke about some of the issues that I had with this book already in this vlog. When I got to the end, all I could think was, wow, that was definitely an experience. And it was definitely unique and memorable. I think that this book is going to stick with me long term. So even though I did have a few issues with it and I didn't think that it was perfect, I couldn't not give it 5 stars because it had the impact on me that I wanted it to have. I don't think I actually have much else I can say about this book other than I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was a fantastic example of a dark academia book. I will say that it felt more like a historical novel, like a historical or literary writing style, rather than a fantasy. So if you're more into like epic fantasy or high fantasy, then that's not what this book is. It felt a little bit like a textbook in places, which didn't bother me because the content was still really interesting. But yeah, that's something else that I did want to mention. I think it is going to be one of my favourite books of the year though, so I'm glad that I finally managed to get hold of a copy after the nightmare that I had last week. But yeah, thanks for watching this vlog. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read Babel and what you thought of it, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, and I will see you next time. Bye.